Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What's going on, guys? Sorry, we're a little bit behind here. I actually just got done recording our episode number 2 of our podcast for the Scale Labs RC podcast. So, thank you guys for being patient with me. Sorry about that again, that I was a little late, but no big deal. We're here now. So, make sure everybody can hear me. Everything looks good on my end, but it looks good every week, and I'm never sure if anybody can hear me. So if you can, please let me know, and I would appreciate it. But what is going on out there today, everybody? So like I said, just got done doing recording a podcast, and that was super fun. My producer, everybody can hear me, hopefully. She says she can, so everybody's good. Awesome. Oh, that's a sample comment. Don't need that. Awesome. What's up, Andrew? Andrew can hear me? Cool. Heck yeah. I know we got some, this Illinois, Indiana area. Looks like, I was just looking at the weather. Looks like we got some weird weather coming in. So, Carson, I'm just right. I'm out there with you. As fast as you were at 5-star, though, I don't know how you could have caught the flu. I would have thought you would have outran it the whole time. Oh man, I seen that Ryan Ralph was on as well. He on his live stream, so need to figure out a need to figure out a way to merge him over. But yeah, awesome. Glad everybody can hear me. Fantastic. Fantastic. So the thing that I think we're going to go over today, guys, and a big thing is I wanted to talk maintenance a little bit and go over, with the Wrenchin Wednesday. I'm inside tonight just with the a little bit better Wi-Fi and all that. So thinking about actually making my RC room kind of back here in the house instead of out in the shop, just to the Wi-Fi and everything's better and just everything's a little bit easier to do inside. So might do that. Then that way I have access to my cars because I have some pictures and stuff put up that we can talk about. But we can go from there. Andy says he's got the chili bowl flu. I'm sure a lot of people do. Andy, I'm there with you. Carson's on the NyQuil, so we've got about 15 more minutes with Carson. He's gonna crash out. He'll be sleeping. So Dank, what's up, man? Nice to see you. Where's everybody planning on racing this weekend? Let me get the banners rolling. Congratulations to all of our winners. I know I feel like I say this every week, but one of the coolest things that I do or that I like to do is that right there. That is the coolest thing. I remember being a kid and waiting for school to cancel down on the when we watch the news and stuff. So always think that's the coolest thing. But something I did add, just so everybody knows, when you're looking at the banner, I actually added entries and total cars and total participants now is at the beginning of all those. So just some interesting statistics, I think, to be able to see people who come through. So Andy says no racing this weekend. Just gonna cuddle with his drill and relax. Heck yeah, dude. There he is right there. Andy, there's your name for the SC mod, so that's cool. Shane, I would hope you're gonna be at 5 star, my man. How did everything work out, Shane, on if you guys I'm sure you guys have been just motoring on the track trying to get it rolling. 5 stars has got 5 stars gonna have something really, really good on their hands here very shortly, I have no doubt. So Shane's in here. He's the owner of 5 star. So everybody say what's up to him for sure. But yeah, very cool. Pasley's taking the weekend off. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to. Mike, you guys aren't. You're not going to run Slideways. Figured we would see you down at Slideways this weekend. But anyway, guys. So as people are still rolling in here, we've got a pretty good crowd and all that. So one thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit. Trek will be ready for laps tomorrow. Heck yeah, got a makeover. That's awesome, man. I love that. That is fantastic. I'm trying to see. I want to actually switch a few things, but it doesn't really look like it's going to switch over very well. Kevin's going to PTs. Steens is going to PTs. Matt's going to PTs. Awesome. No, I am. If I can get my stuff together, I would like to go to PTs. I just don't know. Steiger's going to PTs. Awesome. I had to do a complete overhaul of my cars. Pasley's got the Rona. He can't race. I get it. I think almost everybody gets Thedens and Kevin. You guys were down at the Chili Bowl. Are you guys sick? You guys all make it out alive. I know. Looks like Team Wits had a great weekend, Kevin. So, but yeah. So guys, what I was wanting to talk about, kind of, and I'll switch over here. The big thing here is going through that the kind of maintenance here. So this was my cars about 3 hours after I got home. Yep, cool. That's awesome, man. Yeah, Kevin, you're a diehard for sure, so I get it. But my stuff, I had to completely 180 go through all my cars. I had some quite a few things. I'll go through the slideshows here. So these were my cars, and I took where I went and raced. I took basically brand, not quite brand new cars, but brand new from the fact of fresh everything. Everything was as new as it was going to be, other than brand new. And yeah, I kind of paid the price for it. So I had to tear down my cars, get everything in the ultrasonic, and I've just, no excuses, but I've just been slammed with work. And yeah, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get over to the race, to PTs or not. But if I can, I will, absolutely. But definitely going to have to worry about some attrition issues, because everything has some dirt and sand and all kinds of fun stuff in it. So, but yeah, I wanted to talk maintenance, and kind of what you guys go through, and what's to be expected out of a lot of people. Um, and from that weekly, what everybody goes through. So, perfect example, like, I know Kevin, Ryan, you guys have a ton of laps on your cars now coming back from Chili Bowl. So, um, do you guys feel like when you got back from Chili Bowl, you had so many laps on your cars? Did you guys have to completely tear everything down and rebuild, or is it just kind of the weekly freshening, getting everything kind of, back up to snuff? So I'm curious on what everybody thinks there. And then what does everybody do from a weekly perspective? Does every week, is everybody going through shocks? Is everybody going through, are we completely rebuilding transmissions? Are you taking the diffs all the way apart? Or are you just, taking the case apart, cleaning everything, relubing everything? What do you guys do? Bruce said he's finishing cleaning up his last car now. So cool. Yeah, you had a bunch of cars there, Bruce. So I understand that. Yeah, Carson, what the heck, dude? You were taking all the air, so wasn't able to get all the cars clean. We had to baby everything. So, Kevin, you're saying you refresh everything. So when do you determine a refresh versus a top down, basically a rebuild? I think that would be good for everybody to know. Obviously, we all have, when everything goes pretty much perfectly. We have the standard. I think, a lot of guys, we'll pull out hinge pins, we'll pull out, get shocks rebuilt, get go through the diff and trans, make sure everything's good there. As long as everything feels good, you're not going to pull the diff apart if you've already got it set. Um, Things like that. So it should be pretty simple, obviously. But when do you guys determine, is it just laps, or is it how hard of obviously, if you had a really hard weekend like myself, if the car had to go through quite a bit, then it warrants a complete teardown, obviously. But, on a normal maintenance schedule, when do you determine complete teardown versus, weekly kind of refresh things? Dennis says he's excited to get back. Hope the weather stays good. Likewise, the last couple of times I've been to PTs, Dennis, I've had to struggle for sure. Illinois in general, and not even PTs, just Illinois in general. I've had some pretty terrible luck trying to get home. So let's see. Andy says maintenance after the Chili Bowl is full tear down, clean, then rebuild after inspection. Yep, right on. Ryan, he says he pretty much cleans pins, dumps shocks, and clean everything weekly. Yep. So that's a week. I think for the most part, um, a pretty simple or pretty standard weekly maintenance schedule. But I do think it's important for people, especially newer people into the hobby. When is it appropriate to completely tear things down versus, um, just keep refreshing, because eventually you are going to get to a point on the refreshes that you should have went a little bit deeper on something, and that kind of, that creates an issue where you'll go to a race and something will break prematurely, or post it's past when it should have been checked. I know we kind of hit on something a couple weeks ago where we're talking about the pins on dog bones and the out drives on the on your diffs, and what the wear on those look like even. And I actually got as crazy as pulling the little inspection, my little microscope out and checking out the pins in the dog bones and everything. So um, that's something that can creep up on you pretty quickly if you overlook it, and you can have a ton of slop in your drivetrain to where it makes it incredibly difficult to have a consistent car. Let's go back through the comments here. Andrew Schroeder says once a month he puts a new diff in, new shock oil and O-rings. Every week he checks bearings, polishes hinge pins, checks diff, checks shock shafts, fixes body on his late model. So yeah. So if you're new out there, guys, I think that's something to definitely, you should definitely write down and make a checklist on your weekly maintenance, checking the hinge pins, making sure your shocks are full of fresh oil, everything's good there. Go through your transmission. You don't need to pull on a weekly basis. I don't think you need to pull your diff all the way apart, especially if you've got it set really well. No reason to do that. And then go through, make sure all your bearings are clean. And then as long as the bearings are cleaned, then throw a little oil in there around the ring of your bearings. And maybe for Scale Labs tomorrow, I'll make up a little write up that'll be like a picture for a reminder for people to kind of have a little checklist. I think that'll be helpful. Obviously, a lot of you guys that are in here listening don't need that. You have your own checklist, but we're kind of talking to the people that are on a, maybe a little bit newer to the hobby, because all of this still applies to the street stock guy, to the 13.5 guy, to the outlaw late model guy, the outlaw sprint guy. It trickles down all the way through. So, and then Kevin, yep, CVDs as well. Chris, what's up, man? Excuse me. Chris usually waits and till he has to beat his bent pins out and buy new blocks and arms. Yeah, that sounds about right. Andy says he focuses on the trans, pivots, and shocks. So, yep. Ryan, I'm right there with you. So, I'll put Ryan's comment up here. Ryan says he enjoys working on cars more than racing. So, yep, I'm right there with you. I would much rather wrench and get my cars faster than race any day of the week. I think I would be an incredible uphill, like a Pikes Peak mountain racer, just racing myself in the clock all the time. That would be, making the car faster, tuning the car, making it all good, and then go up the hill by myself, just challenging my own time. I think that'd be good for me on the big car side of things. And he says for diff, he uses a diff decoder, and all is the same. Yep, I'm right there with you. We actually had that really good conversation about diff decoders over the weekend when I was racing. A big reminder to once you have a diff decoder that you use, only use that one, because I actually checked my diff on a couple different decoders, and they're all over the place, those things, because they're only measuring resistance in a semi-inaccurate way. So it is relatively important that you guys, once you have your own diff decoder, or if you are borrowing somebody else's, make sure you borrow the same person's every time. Or you can, that's a really, really good way to booger up your readings for sure, because it's not the most accurate thing in the world for sure. But yeah, everybody who's in there, congratulations to everybody who had a great chili bowl, from team guys to individuals. It was awesome. So nothing but congratulations to all of you guys. Very, very cool. Very, very. It was very, very fun to watch and keep up with all week. So definitely a lot of good runs. Oh, let's see here. Dennis says he enjoys going through his cars. Gives him confidence to get to when he gets to track. Yeah, I mean, and that's 2/3 of it, I think. I think that's a huge thing, is trusting that you're putting down the best and weird things are always going to happen, right? There's always going to be something, either you maybe you missed, or something that was broken that maybe you didn't check all the way through, or whatever that may be. But Dennis, I think you make a great point to where it is so important to, you go through the cars, you go through everything, and you're confident putting down the best car on the track every time. So I couldn't agree more with you. Ryan, I'm assuming you're talking about the diff decoder. Yeah, so that's definitely something that I'd learned the hard way, because I would go to guys, I would see guys with diff decoders, and before I have my own now, I have a factory team one. So basically, you can get a factory team, like from Associated, diff decoder, or you can, I believe, Sky RC makes one. So those are kind of the two diff decoders. Um, and again, it doesn't matter at all which ones you have. They both are going to do the same thing, but you want to make sure, once you get your diff correct, and you get a really, really good one, make sure that once you put your diff decoder on that, get a baseline number, and then take that baseline and only use your diff decoder to get that. So, Mike, what's up, man? Nice to see you, Mike. Mike says, let's see here. We'll read Mike's. So Mike says, new to Dirt Oval, what does a diff decoder help? So, Mike, basically what a diff decoder is going to do, and this is the last time, this is the last stream, guys, where I don't have my cars with me, so we could absolutely set and do. I need to do a video on this so guys can see. But so basically, Mike, a diff decoder, what it's going to do is, it's a little device that goes onto the outside of the axle, onto the wheel hex, and what you do is you actually hold your spur gear on your car, and you take your diff decoder, and you basically let it spin over the transmission, essentially, to where the diff is actuating and working, and that gives you a number. That number is, typically, I've raced with guys who build their diffs out to 400, and there's guys that say their diffs are money at 220. So basically, all that's doing and all that's establishing is, it's giving you a baseline of what a good diff, a properly built diff, is to you. So there's 30 something people in here right now. All 30 of those people, and their opinions, have a different number. So once you have a car that you really like, and you have a diff that feels really good, and you have everything feels the way that it should, and everything feels nice and smooth, throw a diff decoder on that. And I think you get both diff decoders, they're 80 to 90 bucks, maybe $100. And it's a great investment, I think, because again, it gets you to that consistent number, to where when you're building that diff, you at least have a baseline of, because anybody can turn it, and you start twisting the diff, and it all feels about the same, but that could be way off. So it just gives you, it's that next level of consistency within your car, and it really works out. I think it's a great number. I'm a data driven guy. I prefer that, so that's why I kind of lean so hard on that diff decoder. But I think it's something that is an invaluable asset, or an invaluable tool to have in the box. And it's kind of one of those buy once, cry once type things, where once you have it, um, you know, you'll have it for quite some time. And let me know, Mike, that if that answers your question, we can go into more detail. Ryan says, we checked 4 one night in Layton, and they were all consistent, but gave out different numbers. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's totally, and that's, Mike, if you're still in here listening, that's one thing that's good, is make sure, again, once you have one, you're using the same one every time. That's where your consistency is going to come from. Andrew, you said different decoders, but same brand or different brands. To my understanding, it's two. To my knowledge, there's two decoders out there. One of them is made by Factory Team, and one of them is made by Sky RC. Those are the only two that I know of. So, and this is a perfect example. So Chris says he builds all his diffs at 180. In my opinion, for how I have built my diffs, that's incredibly loose. But if that works for Chris, or that works on Chris's diff decoder, then that's fantastic. And there's nothing wrong with that. Is if Chris has diffs that are running and working great, that's awesome. And Chris's 180 might be my 240 on mine. I mean, it's just there is a pretty big swing. Okay, so Ryan says tour AE and tour Sky. Oh, this was when you guys were at Leighton. Trey Maros and Rod. Yeah, and they'll always. I mean, I think you could buy two of the same one off the same line and they would read different. It's just that it's how the mechanism within the decoder works. There's no way for that it can read consistent, but the quote unquote accuracy is not going to be the best. So Mike says, what does that reading the number represent? Okay, so when you spin your rear end and you're using your diff decoder and you spin the rear end with it, you're holding the spur gear. Basically, what that's representing is what I would call the tightness in which how tight your diff is. So when you stick a 2 millimeter wrench into should be the right side of your car, and you start tightening down the diff, that number is how tight you have tightened the diff. So that 180 that 180 is the scale is off of Newton meters or whatever scale it's based off of. But again, that number is not necessarily as relevant as more of it is as a consistency number that you're looking to hit each time. So every time you build a diff, you want to hit 220, or in Chris Stagner's case, you want to hit 180, and that's where he starts from, and then you go from there. But it's how tight you have the thrust screw with and your thrust bearings and everything that are going through the diff. That's how tight that diff is, and that's what that number is representing. And it is wild when you actually start playing with it. You can turn it one flat on the wrench, and that one flat might be worth 40 to 60 points on your diff decoder on the value in which that it reads. So it is a big difference. Schroeder says, I have a Sky decoder and haven't used it yet. Everyone else has used it. Yeah. Well, as long as you're the one using it all the time, Andrew, then you're still good. Yes, Mike. So that's exactly it's measuring. It's more than what it's measuring is more of this. It's using the scale of resistance, and that's what the number is being distributed to you. And it's not a specific number. It's not like speed per se. Like 60 miles an hour is 60 miles per hour. That's a fixed rate in which it's being measured. The diff decoder number is not that. So it's 220 is to exactly how you just said. It's the resistance. It's the amount of force that diff decoder it's taking for it to spin over. Basically, it's the torque value of what's in that diff decoder. Ryan says, I think you need to measure them all at the same temperature too. Ryan, this is great. I'm going to put Ryan's comment up here. So this is another big thing for everybody who's watching as well. Ryan says that we need to measure everything at the same temperature. A hot diff will read looser than a cold one, and it acts like inertia measure. Yes. So you're 100% right. I've found that to be a ton, Ryan, where like if you're building it in the shop and it hasn't been raced or anything, and then a really cool test to do, guys, is actually you can set it before you go out, come back, and then once you get immediately once you come off the racetrack, set the car down, put your diff decoder on, and you'll see that number will read significantly lower typically than it did before you went out. And that's just because everything's freer, it's warmer, everything's spinning. So it's really interesting. Dennis says, what's up, Tony? Glad to have you in here, dude. Dennis says, having a set number for 13.5 than having a number for mod. Dennis, you will have to elaborate a little bit more on that. Are you asking for a number? Or are you saying you have a set number for 13.5, then you have a set number for your mod as well? Just clarify a little bit for me. But does that make sense, guys? And I will make sure I'll do a video on this, and then it'll be just a video posted on the Scale Labs channel. I apologize for not having my stuff in here. I need, if I'm gonna film and do live streams and stuff in here, I need to have my my bench in here so that we can go over things a little more easy. It would be too easy to just sit here and show you guys while we do it. But yeah, Dennis, let me know. Let me know what you're if you're making a statement or asking a question, because I'm happy to acknowledge either way. And Mike Schultzbaugh, I believe. Hopefully, I'm not butchering your name there. If that is, let me know that is what you were looking for as well. Um, I want to make sure that we're answering everything to the best of our abilities. But yeah, no, guys, it's always it's one of those interesting things too. Um, it's one of those, you can go off into the weeds. Yes. Okay. So what Dennis is saying is, yeah, there's across each car, even, Dennis, there's gonna be different. Like, I know that I have my late model typically feels, I prefer my late model diff to be a little bit different than my sprint car diff, from what I found. So from 13.5 to mod, you're 100% correct. Those numbers, you will more than likely be shooting for different numbers there as well. Especially with 13.5, you want everything in your drivetrain to be so free and fluid. You may not want as much, to where when you go to a mod, your mod motor can get you out of a lot of issues typically with, as far as everything not being as free or bound up. Even, that a mod motor can drive you through a lot of that comparatively to a 13.5. It's going to be way more noticeable, at least, um, from against your competitors, or the speed in which you are against your competitors. Another thing though too, guys, is, you can take that diff number and you can go as crazy with it, or as little as crazy with it as you want. I've been in pit areas where I watch guys, they are checking it before and after every single race, every time the car's on and off the racetrack. Personally, I think that's a little bit crazy. I like to set mine at the house before I leave, and then if there's ever any issues or anything like that, I will pull my diff decoder out at the track and make sure everything's correct and at that same number that I left the house at. But outside of that, I don't think there's any reason, unless you're tuning with it, um, or I'm sorry, you're tuning your diff rather. You're wanting a little bit more. You want a little bit tighter diff or a little bit looser diff. Um, I personally don't feel like the diff decoder needs to come out every time the car's on the bench, but just me. Ryan says bearing drag also makes a difference. It's a good tool to be consistent, but not necessarily something a new guy needs. Yep. Yeah, and that's kind of back to my last point. I was just saying there, Ryan. I don't think it's something that you need to live and die by. It's truly it's no different really than knowing your numbers of what shock oil you put in your shocks. This is how I look at the diff decoder. Is, on the cap of your shocks or shock oil, you have 500 or 550 or 450 or whatever that number is. That number that you put in your shocks for shock oil, there's no difference from that shock decoder number, in my opinion. You just want to know what you built your diff at, and outside of that, let it ride. I don't think it's so easy, for a new guy, old guy, a guy that's been in the hobby forever, or a guy that's just now getting into all this. I think it's so easy for you to get caught up in, um, a situation to where you're constantly relying on that, or you're constantly looking at that number. Again, absolutely no difference, when looking at it, than what shock oil you're putting in the car. We all just want to know that number. So, Tony says it can be a rabbit hole. Yep, yep, absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. When you build a fresh diff, get that number, build it to whatever number you like, and let it ride. Then if you start having issues, that's when you can pull the diff decoder out and check and see, man, I've got a bad diff or I've done something wrong here, and that's how you that's where you can kind of know what direction you're going. Joe, what is up, man? Joe Payne's in the house. Traxxas Joe. I run about 300 in a gear diff, or his mod late model 400 ball diff, and his midget. If the midget is out, my decoder is out because I don't trust a ball diff. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I want to go down the gear diff rabbit hole so bad I can't stand it, but I'm trying to stay as quote unquote normal as I can. So yep, absolutely, Dennis. So when you get Dennis makes a great point there. So like I said before, when you leave the house, so this is another great conversation. What do you guys typically do as far as when you're documenting your setups? So like I know for me personally, and we touched on this last week, like what I like to do is I will actually take a setup sheet and I write down everything that I'm leaving the house with. Okay. And then when I am at the racetrack, I have my practice notes, my race notes, and all that. And then when I leave and I get back to the house, um, I will actually write down my setups again. And then I have basically a pre-race and a post-race setup sheet, and then in between those two are every change that I made. So it'll that change will reflect between the two sheets. Um, is that overkill? Probably, or maybe, but it's a great learning tool to go back and look. Like, man, I left the house with this, and it was not good. I changed this, and this. So let's get ahead of it. I'm not even going to leave the house like this time. I'm going to change it over to this. Um, so that's what I like to do. And to tie all this back in, that diff number is something that I leave the house with, and I check when I come back and do the second setup sheet as well. So it's all, but again, it's all user preference and what everybody likes. Dino, how you doing, Dino? Let's see here. I am running 70 weight in my gear diff, but needs to be changed after 2 races. The feeling is like a fresh ball diff. Yeah. And I don't I am far from I'm far from an expert on anything, but I'm far from a gear diff expert. 70 weight seems incredibly, is that 70 or 70,000 in a gear diff? Because 70 seems like that's like friggin' water. And well, I don't know what that translates to. 70 is like what would 70 be? That 70 is like 800 or something on shock weight. You'll have to give me a little bit of an education there, Dino, because I don't know enough about a gear diff to I'm learning with you. 70 weight shock oil. So that 70 weight equates to like, because 70 weight's like a TLR number, right? So if you convert that over to whatever, like a quasi or a AE, or no, AE, does AE have those kind of numbers too? It'd be like 700 or 800. Okay. Okay. Yeah. CST. Yeah. The WT versus, yeah. Yep. 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 Okay. So yeah, it's pretty thick then. Dank says so dialed RC app, incredible tool. Since everybody has a, I'll have to look into that. I've actually heard of that, Dank, and I just haven't fussed with it too much. Bruce Harper's in here, as Bruce will attest. I've got a pretty decent system right now. Like I take my iPad to all the races, and I actually have a setup sheet from GFRP or whatever, and I actually will go through and fill it out with my pen on my iPad, and I really like that. And then that way, underneath it, I can keep my notes. And then sometimes if I forget my iPad, then I just write it down on a manual setup sheet. But cool. Yeah, that's So Dialed has setup sheets too. Okay. Well, I'm going to look into that. Let's see. We'll bring it over here. So let's actually see here, guys. I'm curious now. We'll learn together a little bit. we'll get a little on the get a little bit on the high tech side here. And then let's go to here. Perfect. There we go. I'm actually what I'm doing right now, guys. I'm sorry. I am going to. We're going to pull up the So Dialed app here and look through that because I have heard about that before, and I think that's an excellent tool for some people to see. So I agree. Let's see. There we go. Let's see. Boom. There we go. Beautiful. All right, guys. So now everybody should be able to hear me. So let's look through this So Dialed app here together and see what we can come up with. Producer, do you still have me in your ear there? Can you still hear me? Okay. So let's see here. Let me get the comments back up. Let's see. I'm going to catch up here real quick, guys. Dennis says, back in the day, 20 years ago, we ran Lucas Red and Tacky and Artists. I've actually heard of people doing that still today, Dennis. I've had a conversation about that a couple times. Ryan says he takes notes on all sorts of paper and pens that barely work. Go home and remeasure all of it, and hope that you can remember. Let's see. Let's see. So another good question here. I'll put this up on the screen. So Carson was actually the winner at 5-star this weekend in the 13.5 class. So if you guys remember one of our first ever episodes, we had quite a few guys on here that contributed, and I believe JB Craighead has a LLM that he's completely built out. That you say, hey, my car's tight here, my car's loose here. So go back and look at some of those first episodes. That's in there, and that's actually linked. His OpenAI is linked in there, and you can actually go in and use it. But Carson, I think that's actually really useful too. I don't use it as much as I should, but that's something that everybody is. It's coming for sure. If everybody's not on the AI stuff, even if you can just say, "Hey, my car's doing X, Y, and Z. I have a 22 or I have a 26 GFRP Assault. My car's loose out of the corner. What should I do?" I mean, it seems to be pretty helpful. But okay, here we go, guys. So let's go through here. We're back over here on the So Dialed. So there's a lot of cool stuff here. That is cool. So it has maintenance timer, speed calculator. That'd be cool to know just for some of the scale, stuff. So Dialed has an AI mechanic as well. I'm seeing Pitcow. So it has a pill insert calculator as an AI mechanic as well. Wow. Yeah, this could be pretty big here, guys. I think this could be something that's really useful. I'm gonna have to dive into this. Excuse me. I'm gonna have to dive into this a ton. So we can search setups. So let's just type in. So for example, if I could type, I have a team GFRP. Okay, so it looks like Carson, this is the So Dialed app, apparently. Joe, I'm right there with you. I need to suffer first. I hear you. So it looks like we're going to get the most out of this, guys, when we download it onto our phones. That seems to be. But I actually believe I remember seeing somewhere on here that I swear that I seen on here that they had just added like GFRP. So CustomWorks is on here. So any of you CustomWorks guys, let's look at an Outlaw 5, for example. That's awesome. So they have blank setup sheets, and then they have apps per car. And then does anybody who's been in here using the So Dialed app, does it have a interactable where you can interact with it? Or doesn't look like it has it where you can interact with it just yet. But on the app, it may be totally different. I don't know. Yeah, I thought that I seen where GFRP was on here as well. Oh, right there. There we go. Okay. So like I for example have a 26 assault. So the manuals there, setup guides, oval guides. Ooh, this is nice. Okay, so anti squat. Very cool. So it goes through and gives you a full understanding of it all. That's very cool, like for anti squat. Fun fact, total side tangent, but if you guys ever watch any of Adam Drake's videos, you'll see over here when he's panning around, his car's set on orange stands that have his Drake logo, and there's also some pink ones that his wife Rhonda's car set on. Um, when I was in high school and college, I designed and built all of those stands that all those cars set on. Fun fact. Sorry, that was a extreme side tangent. Izzy, what's up, dude? Izzy's putting in for ChatGPT. Oh, that's JB. Yep. So Izzy just linked in the chat what JB Craighead's AI tool. So make sure to use that as well, guys. So Andrew, you do go by brand. I did figure that out. So you go by brand, and then once you click on the brand, the car is underneath the brand. Like they are missing some like, I don't know if because they're calling that a high bite. The interesting thing here is I really think that this is the most interesting thing about this so far is just being able to go through and set up, being able to track even. That's pretty cool. Let's play this. So this is super cool. I don't know if can you guys hear the guy talking in the on the stream? I'm not sure if you can or not. I can, but I'm not sure if you guys can. So I'm not sure. It looks like I'm okay. So you guys can't hear. So Dino just downloaded it. Sorry, guys. So for whatever reason, I don't know why it's only showing the setup sheets because I'm moving things around right now. So I'm not sure what that is. There we go. There we go. Sorry, guys. So now it should be able to.
Name the car or even delete the car
There
if
we
you
go.
so choose.
So this is the maintenance screen here.
What's up, everyone? Just checking in
Perfect.
from
There
the
we go.
So Dialed RC Maintenance Timer
Sorry about that,
app.
guys.
So right now I've got my sprint car loaded in, and on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the items that I want to make sure I'm checking over to keep the car in tip-top shape. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see how often I'm going to be checking over those items. If you select the pen at the right-hand corner of the sprint car box, opens up the ability to edit this. You can go in and select things like we'll use bearings. You can go in and check how often you want them to be checked on. I'm going to leave it at 15 minutes. Clean and rebuild, so how often I'm pulling them out of the car, checking them, rebuilding them, cleaning them, putting them through the ultrasonic. Got that set for a half hour. And then replacing them after about 2 hours of runtime. That might vary just depending on what kind of condition the bearings are in. Can also select to track total runtime for things like bearings, so that way you know how much runtime you actually have on them. Then you can see all the other items in here and the parameters I have them set for. And at the bottom, you can even rename the car or even delete the car if you so choose. Then when we go back to the main screen, you can see the log run. So this would be like when I'm going to practice on Friday or races on Saturday. I'll use Friday as an example. So if I know that I ran, we'll say a half hour in practice, we'll use 15 minutes in practice for total track time. So I'll add that. Then it shows me on the right-hand side of the screen all the times I have left before I need to go in and check on those things or maybe possibly clean and replace. So I can click mark as done. It's telling me that, things like this. So I can go in and just select those. Everything's been checked over and then back. And now everything's reset back to where it was before. So you can go in and say you only looked at your drive shafts. You could select drive shafts only, and it would reset it back. Also at the bottom, you see the little reminder icon. If you select the little reminder icon, you can go in and have the app remind you to log your runs. So for me, I normally race and practice on a Friday and Saturday. So I'll have it reset or have it set to send me reminders on Friday and Saturday. And then I'll just click the set reminders. And there, I've got my reminders set to log my runs to keep track of my cars. I think this app's going to be a good thing for all racers to have, especially racers that have multiple cars in their fleet. I do think it'll be nice, especially if you're not racing all cars on every race day. That way you can keep track of what cars need what maintenance done to them and when you last did them. If everything's up to schedule, then you know that the cars should be in tip-top shape. Where if you see some of those times are down, you definitely might want to check on those items or at least get it refreshed before your next big time you hit the track.
Cool. So there you go, guys. Like I said, I wanted to be able to show that and everybody understand. That is a pretty cool looking site. So thanks to Dank and whoever else said something about that, because I think that is could be something big for the hobby for sure. So I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna look into that more. Even if it's a place where you can put in your setups and keep track of them, I think that is that would be huge. So very cool. Let's go back to the comments here. Dino, have a good night, man. Thank you for coming. Hopefully we'll see you. Hopefully we'll see you some more. Let's see. I seen Izzy put in JB's. Thank you, Izzy, for putting that in. Josh said, if he doesn't have his 10 hours of sitting at his workbench overthinking at things, he'd be lost. I'm right there with you. Craig said, yep, GFRP's on there. We did see that. And then let's see. Dino said he downloaded it. So that's good. Okay, so we're caught back up. Sorry, guys. like I said, we got off on a bit of a tangent there, but I think that So Dialed RC, I think there's something to that. I think so. That's a pretty cool thing. If anybody is wondering, I will put it into the. I'm going to put it in the comments right now, so that should go to both YouTube and Facebook. So, but yeah. So, guys, we've been on for about an hour. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about or go over as far as maintenance or races this weekend, or excuse me, anything like that? More than happy to excuse me, talk about anything. I know like I said, I got a little I was a little bit late. I'm sorry. We were filming a podcast, so anybody who likes PTs or is going to race at PTs, make sure you guys are paying attention to our social media channels. It'll be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and I believe on YouTube as well. So it'll be on all of our all major platforms for podcasts. Tom and I finally got to sit down with Tom and talk all things PTs and his story and how PTs came about. It was an incredible incredible show. So I enjoyed it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. It was really good. So heck yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out that So Dialed app. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Dennis, I wish I'm gonna be especially with us doing Raceway 39 and having our own track and stuff. I'm sure I'm gonna be a full-time, part-time amateur weatherman here by the time it's all said and done. So, but fantastic, guys. Oh, let's see. Ryan said he'd add for education purposes if anyone tries a G3 Hobby Wing Speedo, make sure you attempt to update the firmware. Okay, I'm on 2 G3s as well, Ryan, and I think I'm on the most updated firmware, but we probably Scale Labs should probably do a video on even how to do that, because I'm sure that could be daunting to some people to get that update put on your ESC. So we'll make sure that'll go on the list as well to include that. Let me add that to the notes section right now. Let's see. I'll add that while we're on here, everybody. On ESC, and then we also need to do a video on for a diff analyzer as well. So we're going to be a couple videos coming out for Scale Labs here soon, guys, so you guys can see how things are done and everything we kind of talked about tonight. So Ryan says he got burned at the Chili Bowl, not having the firmware done. It shut off in the first heat. Cool. Yeah, I've never heard a bad thing about the Hobby Wing guys, so good to hear that you had a good experience with them, Ryan. If you're willing to share, Ryan, what was it? So was it like a voltage? Was it a voltage situation or a temp situation where like it wasn't shut off in the main main settings, or what does that look like for what would cause that? Because I'm sure that would be helpful to quite a few people in here to look out for. And that was kind of what it did though as well, Ryan. It just shut off. Because I'm assuming if you like cycled power or whatever. Cool. I like all those, Andrew. Those are good ones, and those could be pretty quick too. Building shocks, glowing tires. You got it. You got it, my man. I'm adding them right now. Boom. Yeah, I will get to work on that. I think those are all good. Those would be really good videos too. I'll work on getting some cameras set up where we can have some multiple angles and stuff too for people to see. I think that'll be super helpful. One really interesting thing, we only have 17 people in here now, but one of the really interesting things that I don't think a lot of people agree with me on when I talk to guys is I I exclusively run the bleeder shocks. I did not hear you, Malcoat. Sorry. Should have came in and crashed it again. But no, anyway, guys, I only run bleeder style shocks. I don't run the bladder stuff. I have personally never been too comfortable with the bladder style shocks. I personally feel like they're way more inconsistent, and I've had people like yell at me and jump up and down that no, I'm crazy and they're not right and that's not right and this, that, and the other. But I'm a firm believer that I can build a bleeder shock way better than a bladder shock any day of the week, and that's just my personal opinion. And I know there's a lot of guys who disagree with me, but that's my personal opinion. So I will be more than happy to do a bleeder style shock video, and that's just me. And let's see here. Steen says they didn't really know. They went through it and said that the profile was fine. They took his motor and checked it too. They updated it. Huh. I said I was down in the 80s after that, so I'd try whatever. Oh, you're saying you were in the 80s as far as being okay. I got you. I got you there. Andrew, I don't know if the late model mounting is kind of like the shock deal. I don't know if people would think that I'm crazy or not on how I do it sometimes. Yeah, Joe, I have your package. Dustin dropped it off before Chili Bowl, so just got to get some time to get to it now. But it is on the cart for the next thing to go on. Once I get a bunch of these big jobs off of my machines, I'll be able to knock that out pretty quickly for you. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to PTs or not this weekend with the level of rebuild that I had to do, but if I'm able to get to PTs, I hope to have them done and bring them to PTs. And if not, if not, and I have them done, I'll make sure that they get on somebody's truck to go to PTs if you're going to be there. That way you can have the package. Malco says I'm insane for liking. He says I'm insane for liking bleeder shocks. Dustin, you're the man. Why do you? I need to have you on. I need to have you back on here again, and we talk bladder versus bleeder shocks. And if you want to give us a brief synopsis on why you think why bladders are better. And let's see. I think once Dustin puts out the Legacy Speedo video, we can all go to that. Much cheaper and better for oval. Okay, Ryan. So, Legacy Speedo, is that a new brand? I'm not up to speed on that. So, is there a new Speedo coming out? That is that I'm obviously that's public knowledge now, but I don't know. That's my first time hearing about it. Or is there a Legacy? Is there? I believe I did see actually. Now that we're talking about it, there's like a Hobby Wing Legacy Speedo. Is that accurate? I'll have to do some more digging into that as well. Oh, I agree. I think a billion times over, Dustin. I think they're a billion times over easier to build a bleeder shock than a bladder shock. I'll die on that hill. I'll argue that hill till the cows come home. I can do one so fast and it's so easy for me. Is it you're using a lot of big words? I don't know if that's a positive for bleeder shocks or a negative for bleeder shocks. The blasphemy is blasphemy a positive word? That feels like a negative word. I don't think Izzy's pro bleeder shocks. Bruce, I'm doing it wrong. I don't know, man. I just like it. I don't know if it's makes me feel better about from the real shock side of things on when I was working on big car shocks or what it was, but I don't know. I like bleeder shocks. I'll die on that hill. Schroeder says, Hobby Legacy is a new mod ESC. He'll bring it Saturday, so now you have to come. I'll have to look into it. I guess I haven't seen it yet. I have heard now that it's being brought up. I have heard about it, but I haven't seen it yet. It's just simple stuff that we need, not a bunch of extra stuff. Cool, fair enough. Let's take a look at it. If we're all going to talk about the Hobby Wing Legacy ESC, we might as well just get it on there. Let's see here. So Pasley, I believe, is referring to Dennis's comment about because it does not look like it has an external fan. Here, I can do a screen share again, guys. There we go. So I'm just on the A main site here, guys, but we can all at least see it. So this is the new Pro Legacy that everybody's talking about. Everybody correct me if this is wrong, but this looks to be. So it does look like there's a. Is that not a fan port? Oh, that's the port for that fan. That's why. Okay. That makes excuse me, that makes more sense. I guess we'll have to argue over that one, Dustin, because I don't know how you would consider that quarter midget shock a bladder shock. The bladder doesn't serve this as a base valve, does? I mean, is that serving like a base valve does then? Is that the idea behind the bladder? I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, now that I look at it, like I'm purely talking about the building of it. I've just never had one that didn't. That I can't build them without them leaking. It seems like no external switch is the only drawback. So yeah, as everybody can see, there is no. Doesn't look like you can put a switch on it. Dennis says he's not a fan of the port for the on-off switch. So does this just have a lot less like profiles then to where it's just makes things a little bit simpler then, guys? Is that kind of what we're looking at here? But it is, I mean, that comes out to about $100 cheaper, right? I mean, because the G3s I think are 250. So that's pretty cool. Oh, so that's the whole idea, is it not building pressure? I get that. I understand that. But again, I build mine pretty dead, so I could sit there and go up and down numerous times and never have any issues. Cool. That'll be the new go-to then, guys. It sounds like is this legacy ESC, so that should be good. I like that. So built-in polarity protection. Very cool. Oh, now I need a Hobby Wing sweatshirt, it thinks. Nice. This looks pretty sweet, though. I like this, that for the data logging, I like to be able to look at that. I'm assuming you have to have a Bluetooth module for it. Yeah. Yep. To be able to look at all that, though. Cool. Here's some of the specs, guys, if you guys want to look through. Dustin's going to do a video on it, so that sounds good. Cool. Well, I think everybody will make sure when Dustin puts his video out, we'll make sure that that Scale Lab shares that so everybody can see it and we can refer back. It'll be interesting to see because it looks like it has all the same adjustment types as the G3 stuff. So it'll be interesting to see once you get in there and look at it what all that actually looks like. Oh, I agree, Dennis. It's especially if you run the middle cage bolts, it's a real pain in the butt. I agree completely. But there it is, guys. That's pretty cool. I like it. I'm all about things being cheaper and easier for everybody. So I have no idea, Mark, what it is versus isn't. We'll have to look into it more. I am just now kind of learning about it. So yep. So Rich just said it here. I do the exact same thing, Rich. So I actually don't do it on the side of the body. I actually just go in from the top of the cage, Rich. Yep. Yep. So that's good information right there. Make sure you guys are covering the slots on the ESC if you guys don't have. If those are exposed, because that is a good way to have some shortage issues. But them calling it back to Mark Stetler, I'm assuming that if they're calling it legacy, I'm assuming it's going back to more of that G1 style package. But I don't know. I can't guarantee that. So I have a brand back to totally bring the circle back around. I have a brand new set of bladder shocks that are out in my box. I need to just build them and get over it and run them. But like I said, I like my bleeders for whatever reason. I don't know why. But guys, we're gaining a little bit more traction back. We got 25-ish people in here. So if you guys have any questions or anything we need to talk about, let's do it. And if not, I think we're going to start wrapping things down. I feel like I've been on the computer for a long time now. So let's see here. Going through a ton of messages. Rich says I tried a speed troll one night at PB Miles, but not having those 3 pins covered. Yep. Cool. So it's like an updated G1 according to Dustin. I like that. Yep. And then, like Rich is saying, it's a make sure you either have a fan or something plugged into your ESC in those auxiliary ports, or put I believe it comes with a little rubber plug that goes in there to keep everything nice and protected. Well, guys, I think that's we're going to call it right there. We've been on here almost an hour and a half now, so unless anybody has any other questions, if we get off here and somebody has a question or you don't want to ask it publicly, please send a message to the Scale Labs channel on Facebook or anywhere else where you can get a hold of me, and I'm more than happy to help out in any way. I appreciate you guys very much. And if you guys need anything, Scale Labs is always here to help. And if I don't know the answer, I will make sure that I get the answer from a credible source. So thank you guys again. Look out, be on the lookout for the new podcast. It should be up within the next couple of days. I'm going to edit it probably over the weekend. So look out for that. I have a few more already scheduled, so we'll get those recorded and online as well. So I appreciate you guys again. Thank you all so much for all your support as always. Good luck at whatever track you go to. If the weather gets bad, be safe getting there or getting home. And as always, guys, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you more than you know, and can't wait to race with you guys soon. With that being said, have a good night. See you guys.